Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you guys all had a Merry Christmas and I hope you all have a Happy New Year coming up. 2015 is over and done with. I posted a short video showing you my final ranking for 2015. I finished at number 348 overall for the year in the world. Happy about that. Second year in a row that I finished in the top 500. So check that video out. I also go over the results of my picks for last weekend's event, Dos Anjos versus Cerrone 2. And for 2016, I'm going to be making a few changes with my videos. I'm going to be doing two separate videos for each event. One predictions video for the prelim card and one for the main card. This was suggested to me by one of my viewers. He just thought it would help my channel grow faster and get more views. So I appreciate that suggestion. Gonna try it out. I'm gonna put this guy's channel link, I believe he makes videos, in the description. So you guys can go check his channel out and support him. I don't remember his name right now, but I will leave his link in the description. I'm gonna try this out. I'm also going to put timestamps in the descriptions of my videos from now on to make that easier for you guys to find the fights you're looking for, to hear the analysis you want. Let me know if you like those changes. If I feel like I'm getting less views because of them, I'll go back to doing one video for the entire card. But starting with this video, this will be my predictions video for the UFC 195, Fox Sports 1, and Fight Pass prelim cards. All right. So with those changes out of the way, let's get started. UFC 195, Lawler versus Condit. I'm still really excited for the main event. I still think the co-main event is really good. I know everyone, hates when I say this and they never agree with me, but I just think it's way too soon after UFC, not only 194, but after the RDA Dos Anjos 2 fight last weekend. I want time to still process everything that happened. The McGregor's 13-second finish over Aldo, which I'm still in shock over. RDA's dominant win over Cerrone last weekend. And the two events in the 2 days before UFC 194 all happening within the last 2 weeks. I just feel like trying to put another big event so soon after the last 2 weeks is just kind of pointless. I mean, there was no time to get hyped up for this. There's been almost no promotion for it. And I'm just, as a fan, I can't get excited for it because it's literally too soon after 194 and RDA versus Cerrone. So I think it's really bad timing. Other than the main and co-main event, I'm just not really excited for it. Prelim card is pretty much garbage. You have Poirier and Duffy on there, but that's another point I have to make. I think that is horrible, putting that fight on Fight Pass. I know they're trying to grow Fight Pass and get more subscriptions, but you take a high-level fight like that could easily be the co-main event on this pay-per-view. You stick it at the bottom of the card on Fight Pass. Not only is that disrespectful to the fighters, they're going to get less visibility because of it. And, considering how high-level of a fight that is, that's just ridiculous. But me as the consumer, as the viewer, I want the $60 that I'm gonna lay down for the main card. I want that money to go to the highest quality fights on this card. Even though I'm gonna watch the entire card, if I'm gonna pay $60, I want that to go to the fighters who deserve it, and that's Poirier and Duffy, not Trujillo and Tony Sims, which is just a joke as a pay-per-view opener. Both those guys coming off of losses. So I think that's ridiculous, sticking Poirier and Duffy on the Fight Pass card, but whatever. So overall, just not too excited about 195. Main card is pretty weak outside of the main and co-main events, but let's start with the prediction. So at welterweight, Edgar Garcia versus Sheldon Wescott. Don't really know what to make of this matchup. I don't feel like... neither guy has been too impressive. and I don't feel like we've seen the best of their skills in the UFC. So kind of hard for me to make a pick that I'm confident in here, but I'm going to go with Garcia just because Wescott, he lost both of his fights in a pretty dominant fashion. Got ran over by Elias Theodoro in the Tough Nations finale, got finished there. That fight was not competitive, and neither was his last fight against Pavel Pavlik, where he still got trucked. And given the level of opponent, I thought that was a far more winnable fight for him. But looked drained, dropping to 170 in that fight. Everything Pavel threw at him looked like it hurt him badly, and eventually finished him off, I think, in the third round. So Wescott just seems like he cannot put his game together. And Edgar Garcia, even though he got finished Urbino, which definitely is not an excusable thing. I remember him winning the fight early on. I think he got some takedowns before Urbino was able to get back to his feet, catch him with the guillotine in a scramble. So I'm going to go with Garcia here, just given that Wescott has really been dominated in 2 straight performances. I have no idea though. Really, I think I wouldn't be surprised if Wescott won, but I think Garcia will have the wrestling edge. That's just kind of my suspicion. And Wescott just doesn't look like he can put his game together. So going with Garcia for the decision. All right, next up at bantamweight, Joe Soto versus Michinori Tanaka. I definitely have to go with Tanaka here. This guy is a high-level prospect. Hasn't fought for a year and a half. His last fight, I think, was September of last year against Kyung Ho Kang. And I actually thought he got robbed in that fight. Thought he won that fight. This guy's got great wrestling and great scrambling. Very strong when it hits the mat. Has great control. His debut performance against Roland Delorme was fantastic. You just see the strength he has in his takedowns and his scrambling, being able to maintain position, hold guys down. Really high on this guy. And Joe Soto, his UFC run, since he's come over from Bellator, has not panned out at all. Got completely ran over by Anthony Burchak in his last fight, right out of the gate. Had no answer for him and got knocked out stiff. And then before that, his fight against Dillashaw made it slightly competitive. Still got knocked out in the 5th round. I think people gave him a little too much credit, built him up too much because of that fight. But definitely have to go with Tanaka here. I like that wrestling and scrambling a lot. So definitely going with Tanaka for a decision. And at lightweight, the Fight Pass headliner, Dustin Poirier versus Joseph Duffy. I'm not going to go into too much depth here for this fight. I already did a full in-depth prediction when this fight was originally supposed to take place back in October. I'll put a link to that video in the description if you want to check that prediction out for a more in-depth preview. But I'm still taking Duffy. I just think he has the technical edge in his striking. Poirier is very powerful. I feel like people really underrate him, don't give him the credit he deserves. I actually thought at featherweight, even with the losses to McGregor, which was a fluke shot, by the way. I'm not saying it was illegal. I know it wasn't, but it did hit the back of the head, and that is a fluky shot. But, always lost to the top guys at featherweight. McGregor, Korean Zombie, dropped the decision to Cub Swanson. But in all those fights except the McGregor fight, he was competitive and has a wide array of skills. Has a good Darce choke. He finished Max Holloway several years ago with a mounted armbar and has added power to his striking in the last few years, and that's definitely been enhanced with the move to lightweight. And he didn't beat top guys in his last 2 fights at lightweight, Carlos Diego Ferreira and Yancy Medeiros, but still took them out very dominantly. And his power seems to really be really translated well to lightweight. I just feel like Joseph Duffy, even though he's beaten scrubs in the UFC, I just feel like you see his movement. He's got that Conor McGregor thing going on, even though he doesn't train out of the same camp. I guess it's just something about those guys in Ireland over there. The head movement, the shoulder rolls. He seems to just be really fluid and composed on the feet and has good defense. picks his shots. And I just feel like he's going to have the better timing, the more accurate technical striking than Poirier. And I think that's going to make the difference. I also think on the ground, while Poirier has great submissions, I feel like Duffy's more technical there also. His triangle choke on Ivan George, a Brazilian, was fantastic. In his last fight, the setup was really technical. And on the ground, I feel like he'll have the technical edge there as well. So, and also, just given that Poirier has always lost the big fight in his career, I have to go with Duffy here. So, going with Duffy for a decision. All right, moving on to the Fox Sports 1 prelim card at lightweight. Drew Dober versus Scott Holtzman. I don't know why people seem to make a big deal after Holtzman's last win over Anthony Christodoulou, his debut fight in the UFC. I mean, he got the finish, but it wasn't until the third round, I believe, and it was against one of the worst fighters in the UFC. So I didn't think it was terribly impressive. But I think I have to give him the edge here. Drew Dober, I think he's only had one really credible performance in the UFC, and that was his fight against Nick Hine, which he lost. But I still think, he fought a full 3 rounds in that fight and looked solid. He was on the attack in that fight. Had Hine circling around the cage with his back to the fence, and seemed to have the better cardio late in that fight and pulled away a bit late. But his other performances, he just seems like he can't put his game together, doesn't really have a process where he's trying to get from one point to the other, just trying to see what works and fishing for different things to work. I can't give him credit for the Jamie Varner fight, which Jamie Varner knocked himself out on his own takedown attempt. And his last fight against Efrain Escudero lost pretty badly. I think he just fell over, might have tripped, and then Escudero jumped on the front choke and finished him off standing. I thought that was pretty bad. So Holtzman against Christodoulou seemed to have a little more functionality to his game. He was working the leg kicks, he was landing strikes, eventually got him to the ground, got the submission. So I think I'm going to go with Holtzman here. Would not surprise me one bit if Dober won. I think these are both just kind of low-level guys in the UFC. But Dober seems to have a hard time really putting his game together. So I'm going to go with Holtzman, but I don't really know. Don't feel confident in that. All right, next up at women's strawweight, Justine Kish versus Nina Ansaroff. Not going to make a pick here because I've never seen Kish fight. She has not fought in the UFC. Was part of the cast on... was a tough 20, the all-women season, but did not fight in the house because she was injured and hasn't fought in the UFC since then. Nina Ansaroff, though I was not impressed with her in her debut against Juliana Lima, got taken down at will and held down for the entire fight. So not impressed with her, but not going to make a pick there. All right, moving on to a welterweight fight between Kyle Noke and Alex Morono. Also not making a pick here because Morono is the late replacement newcomer. This was supposed to be Gastelum versus Noke. I thought a really weird fight for Gastelum, coming off of his loss to Magny, and that was only back in November. So I didn't think it was the right matchup. I thought it was too soon for Gastelum after that loss. And I would have taken Gastelum to win that fight, but I don't know anything about Morono. Kyle Noke, I had kind of written him off after the Patrick Cote loss. Thought that was a really bad one where he got out-wrestled, couldn't keep it on the feet at all, was not competitive. But his last fight over Peter Sabata back in November still proved that he's still adding to his game. Landed that front kick to the liver that put Sabata down, who is a decent kickboxer himself, and finished him off. I really liked that. We saw him before he did Tough Nations. He got that knockout win over Brenneman in the first round, so has some power in his hands. I remember his win over Chris Camozzi years ago where he showed a bit of a grappling game, took him down and got the choke. So Noke has skills. He's getting up there in age. Also the Jonathan Webb fight, his second to last fight. I did not think that was a good performance. Got dropped a few times, got out-wrestled, and I thought Webb got robbed in that fight. But so it's been a little inconsistent, but coming off of a strong performance. So I would assume Noke can win this, but if Morono's a strong prospect, that I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to take it. So not making a pick there. And then the Fox Sports 1 headliner at bantamweight, the return of Michael McDonald taking on Masanori Kanehara. And I'll just keep it short and sweet. I have to go with McDonald here. Even with the long layoff, who knows how hampered he could be by that. I mean, it's been, 2 years now since he's last fought. And Kanehara, after the Alex Caceres fight, coming in, in his debut UFC fight, getting the win over Alex Caceres, where he just kind of marched him down, had pretty basic striking, but was active with it and pushed him back, got some takedowns. I thought that was a nice win, especially his UFC debut win. But then against Hani Yahya, did not look good, was not competitive for the first 2 rounds of that fight. Yahya faded late, and he almost pulled off the comeback. But given how he was dominated by Yahya in that fight, I have to think McDonald, even if it's a 70% Michael McDonald, I have to think that's enough to get by Kanehara. So, McDonald, he had a good striking game going on. If you remember his fight against Barao, which I think has been forgotten by this point, that was a really competitive fight. I think he took Barao 4 rounds, and that was... No, that was before the Eddie Wineland fight. But, Michael McDonald, he pushed Barao. He could have these really aggressive flurries where he would just unload big combinations with a lot of power behind them. He could hurt guys. He finished Brad Pickett with a triangle after being taken down in that fight. Also after having a really aggressive first round where he hurt him. And he's a well-rounded fighter, and of course the layoff could have diminished him, but I just think his skill set is a lot higher level than Kanehara's, so I'm going to go with Michael McDonald here to win a decision. Alright guys, so that's it for my prelim predictions for UFC 195, and I'll see you in my video for the predictions for the main card of UFC 195. Take care, you guys, and I think I forgot to mention at the top, follow me on Twitter. My link will be in the description. I always live tweet during fights, always post my predictions on UFC Fantasy before the fights, and post my results for my picks after the fight. So follow me on there, come converse with me, and thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.